I'm sorry. Good afternoon. I am going to call to order this regular meeting of the Committee of the Whole for Wednesday, September 25th. My name is Andrea Jenkins, and I am the chair of this committee, and with me at the dais are council members Palmisano, Johnson, Goodman, Ellison, Schrader, President Bender, as well as Councilmember Cano, Councilmember Fletcher, Cunningham, and Council Member Kevin Reich. Let the record reflect that we do have a quorum. And the only business before us today is the receipt of reports from standing committees on matters to be considered by the full council at our regular scheduled meeting this coming Friday. And we will begin with the Budget Committee given by Chair Palmisano.
Thank you, Madam Vice President. At Budget Committee this week, we received and filed departmental presentations. I am struggling to remember them in order. We had Reg Services present, and we also had the Community Planning and Economic Development presentation. On Thursday, tomorrow, recognizing that there is a big transgender equity summit that many of us want to be at and be part of, we have rescheduled the coordinator's office that was supposed to go that day, and instead filled it with departments that had no new budget asks and that seemed to be pretty non-controversial. I recognize that some of you won't be able to make it to that meeting. I think that's okay. Of course, it will be recorded, and we can talk about it more later and in future budget committees as needed. So those were the only items from Budget Committee, and I'm happy to answer any questions.
Thank you, Chair Palmisano. Are there any questions? There are no questions. The next committee report is the Economic Development and Regulatory Services Committee, given by Chair Goodman.
Thank you, Madam Vice President. We'll be bringing 7 items forward for approval on Friday. Items 1 and 2 are licenses that are being adopted, and item number 3 is being deleted from the agenda. It was a license revocation. Item 4 are business license operating conditions, as item 5. Item 6 is a bond issuance for the Alliance Health System, and item 7 is an interim lease with North Star Community Rowing for a portion of the Upper Harbor Terminal. With that, I'm happy to answer any questions on items 1 through 7, noting that item 3 will be moved to be deleted from the agenda on Friday.
Thank you, Chair Goodman. Are there any questions? Seeing no questions, the next committee report is the Enterprise Committee, given by Chair Palmisano.
Thank you, Madam Vice President. There are 4 items at Enterprise Committee this cycle. The first are contract extensions with Assessment Associates International, Surfy Leadership Solutions, and DRI Consulting for continued management assessment services. The second is a contract amendment with Sierra Cedar. Both of those 2 proposals don't need any additional money allocated. They just needed an extension to the service agreements that we have with them. Item number 3 was a detailed explanation as to how we will go forward in RFP for professional services to manage public access television on behalf of our city. And item number 4 was a resolution honoring Jeffrey Schneider for his, I think it's 37 years of service to the city of Minneapolis. So that was really neat. We're able to give that honorarium in committee. So I am happy to answer any questions.
That's great. Thank you, Chair Palmisano. Does anyone have any questions? No. Please let the record reflect that we have been joined by Councilmember Warsame. And then our next committee report is the Housing Policy and Development Committee, given by Chair Gordon.
I can.
He is not here.
I can give the committee report.
Oh, thank you.
Yeah. So the Housing Policy and Development Committee has 1 item to bring forward for approval, which is a land sale to 2 properties in Ward 4. And I can take any questions.
Are there any questions? Next committee report is the Public Health, Environment, Civil Rights, and Engagement Committee, given by Chair Cunningham.
Thank you, Madam Chair. The Public Health, Environment, Civil Rights, and Engagement Committee will be bringing forward 12 items for approval on Friday. The first is passage of an ordinance amending Title 10, Chapter 188, related to food code, adding a new section to create a micro wholesaler food license endorsement, allowing for the sale of qualifying retail food products through shelf space lease agreements. Item number 2 is approving the council appointment of Aaron Hurley, seat 20, Ward 7, member at large, to the Public Health Advisory Committee. The item number 3 is authorizing an agreement with the the Centers for Disease Control and Prevention to host an associate from the Public Health Associates Program in the Minneapolis Health Department for 2 years. Item number 3 is a gift acceptance from the Robert Wood Johnson Foundation for travel, lodging, and related expenses to their Healthy Communities Roundtable. Item number 5 is also a gift acceptance, this one from Cities for Action for travel, lodging, and related expenses for an immigrations-related conference. Item number 6 is authorizing the formal intervention of the City of Minneapolis as a party to the Xcel Energy Integrated Resource Plan docket before the Minnesota Public Utilities Commission. Item number 7 is approving the Neighborhood Revitalization Program Plan Modification Process as recommended by the NRP Policy Board to direct that all neighborhood plan modifications over $100,000 to be reviewed and approved by the NRP Policy Board. Item number 8 is accepting a grant from the Minnesota Department of Health for almost $200,000 for enhanced blood lead testing, lead poisoning prevention efforts, and asthma education. Item number 9 is accepting a grant from the Minnesota Department of Health for nearly $4 million for the maternal child health services. Item number 10 is accepting a grant from the Minnesota Department of Health in the amount of approximately $850,000 to support maternal and child health efforts. Item number 11 is accepting a grant from the Minnesota Department of Health for $1.5 million for quality evidence-based home visiting services to improve the health and developmental outcomes for children and families in selected at-risk communities. And item number 12 is approving the allocation of the remaining Hennepin County's second 7.5 neighborhood revitalization funds for social services through St. Stephen's to address homelessness along the Midtown Greenway. I'm happy to answer any questions.
Thank you, Chair Cunningham. Are there any questions? Councilmember Fletcher.
Thank you, Chair Jenkins. I just want to lift up the work that was done on the micro wholesaler food license ordinance a little bit. I'm listed as the author, but this is actually a really good example. I can't take really any credit for this other than just sort of encouraging staff when they had a good idea. This was a case where a small business in my ward was talking to the public health department and identified a way that our regulations were making it hard for them to expand their business in a way that we all would think would be a good idea, where we've got somebody making food and they want to sell it at farmers markets and at local co-ops, and staff had the idea to bring forward this modification and really did some good listening and some good reacting. And I just want to encourage that kind of active partnership with our community by our city staff and lift up some really good work by our public health department. So thanks to everybody who worked on this, and I'm excited to see this come through.
Awesome. I do think it's going to open up some new opportunities for small businesses. Any other comments or questions? Great. Next committee report is the Transportation and Public Works Committee, given by Chair Reich.
Thank you, Madam President. The committee will be forwarding 22 items to full council consideration. Items 1 through 3 and 5 all are regarding our various special service districts and advancing that work. Item 4 is the Congress for New Urbanism Legacy Project, and it's a letter of support for the Chicago Lake Transit Center Mobility Hub. Item 6 is a non-governmental tax-exempt parcel streetlight operation fee and street maintenance assessment cancellations. Those properties are listed. Item 7 is the public right-of-way declaration for 22 Glenwood Avenue North. 8 is the Industrial Boulevard Multi-Use Trail between I-35W and Broadway Street Northeast. Items 9 through 14 are all contract amendments for approved work of the department. Item 15 is the Zombie Pub Crawl Large Block Event Permit. 16, 17, and 18, and 19 are all adopting approvals for street reconstruction projects for the areas designated. And item 20 is the repair for the street failure at 97th Street South. And item 21 and 22 are both accepting low bids for work of the department. I'll stand for any detailed questions, Madam Vice President.
Thank you, Chair Reich. I do want to acknowledge that we've been joined by Councilmember Gordon. And I had a question that maybe just for some of myself and for some of my colleagues that are not on TPW, can you just talk a little bit more about the mobility hub?
That was item
Number 4 or 5, I thought.
Just want to make sure I get the specific details reflected in my comments. Thank you. Yeah, basically, we were just being supportive of that initiative. So our role was basically is to give sort of validation as an official jurisdiction of that project area.
And so it brings together multiple forms of transportation in one location?
Correct, yeah, it's a way to coordinate a set of multimodal amenities that actually sort of in a more coordinated fashion. And so we have those throughout the city. This is just would be a new one for that location. Much of it's in anticipation for enhanced transit facility for that Chicago Avenue. And so this is a work in advance of that. Probably some familiar examples would be the one in Uptown, just north of Lake at Hennepin by the library there. Again, it's an enhanced facility, knowing that there's going to be enhanced transit investment coming in the future. And I think this process is a really good one because a lot of community voices were involved in sort of promoting that and will be continued to be activated in terms of what it looks like. So it just goes beyond, I think we're trying to go beyond just the coordination aspect and the greater amenity aspect to even maybe a conscious effort for placemaking.
Thank you so much. Are there any other questions? Seeing none, the next committee report is the Ways and Means Committee, given by Chair Wasami.
Thank you, Madam Chair. The Ways and Means Committee brings forth 19 items for approval on Friday. Item number 1, 2, and 3 are legal settlements. Item number 4 is a contract amendment with Municipal Code Corporation for professional codification and related services. Item number 5 is a lease with Salem Evangelical Lutheran Church for police parking at 4134 and 4142 DuPont Avenue North. Item number 6 is a contract amendment with Freud Holdings LLC for a 5-year extension of office lease in Mill Quarter Ramp. Item number 7 is a contract with Kraus Anderson for construction management and consulting at the Hiawatha Maintenance Facility Campus expansion project. Item number 8 is a contract amendment with Kevitt Companies for work associated with the Public Service Building project. Item number 9 is also a contract amendment for modern piping for the Public Service Building project. Item number 10 is another contract amendment with Knudsen Construction Services for concrete superstructure work at the Public Service Building project. Item number 11 is another contract amendment with Lejeune Steel Company for additional structural steel supply for the Public Service Building project. Item number 12 is a contract amendment with Premier Electrical Corporation for increased scope of electrical work for the Public Service Building. Item number 13 is a contract amendment with Danny's Construction Company LLC for structural steel installation for the Public Service Building project. Item number 14 is a contract amendment with Professional Services Industries, Inc. for additional construction services for the Public Service Building. Item number 15 is a contract with McKinstry Ascension LLC for facility condition assessment services. Item number 16 is a license agreement with Minnesota Orchestral Association for signage benefiting PV Plaza. Item number 17 is a collective bargaining agreement, and this is for the Fire Chiefs Unit 2019 through 2021. Item number 18 is a collective bargaining agreement. This is for the Professional Engineers Unit, 2018 through 2021. And the final item, item number 19, is 2019 Fill the Boot Campaign Resolution. And I will be happy to stand for any questions.
Thank you, Chair Warsame. Are there any questions? No questions. Our next committee report is the Zoning and Planning Committee, given by Chair Schrader.
Thank you, Madam Chair. The Zoning and Planning Committee has a one item for approval on Friday. It is the withdrawing of an appeal for the property at 500 Nicollet Mall. I'll take any questions. Thank you.
Thank you. Are there any questions? Seeing none, that completes our business before this committee, and we are adjourned.